Good morning, I'm Maurice Barrett and I've got another Monday morning meditation for you. Trust you've had a good weekend. I've called this study, Take Your Shoes Off. I'm basing it on the incidents of Moses and the burning bush. Moses was going about his normal business, minding the sheep in the backside of the desert, Midian, and he saw something unusual, something out of the ordinary, something not in the routines of life. And he stopped. It was a burning bush. Well, that's not unusual, but the bush wasn't consumed. That's what fascinated Moses. And so he stopped and drew near to it. And when he did, God spoke to him and said a strange thing, really. He said, Moses, take your shoes off. You're on holy ground. And then, when Moses obeyed, God gave him direction. So there's a principle here. The burning bush was only to get Moses' attention so that God could speak for him. And surely God will do the same for us. I'm not saying we'll see a burning bush, but how will God get our attention unless something happens out of the ordinary? So many times I'm sure we miss it. What do you do when something out of the ordinary happens in your life? A car crash? You get the sack? Anything out of your normal routines. It could be God wanting to get your attention. So the next time it happens, stop. Don't blame the devil, don't curse the devil, don't blame people for unusual circumstances and adverse circumstances or something you didn't expect. Stop and take your shoes off. So what does it mean to take your shoes off? That's what the study is about. Well, in the East, they wore sandals and no socks, and the feet got very dusty, so whenever they went in a house, they took the sandals off and went in the house and they washed the feet of the guests. It was a courtesy, I suppose, like now somebody comes in your house and you offer them a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. But we don't do that in the West, but we do. Or it is required to take your shoes off in some people's houses. I know lots of people, when I go in the house, they say, will you take your shoes off? And you take them off and they have slippers waiting for you, or you wear your socks. Why do they ask us to take our shoes off? It's simple. They don't want us to take the dirt of the world into their house. We're entering their presence, their dwelling place. And therefore we have to go in without the world dust on us, without the filth of the world clinging to us. We could have walked in some dog dirt or all sorts of contamination. And they don't want that in the house. And it's the same with God. When God's trying to get your attention, he wants you to change your attitude and be aware of his presence. How do we do that? Well, God's presence is everywhere. He never leaves the universe. David said, if I make my bed in hell, God is there. You can feel God's presence in a prison when you're being tortured or when you're driving your car or in any situation. You just have to, I don't like the word, but tune into his presence. Be aware, change your perception and attitude and say, Lord, I'm here. You know, you could stop now as you're watching this and close your eyes and say, I'm here, God, and enter God's presence, because God is always there. It's you that has left his presence. The first time it happened was when Cain, it said he left the presence of the Lord and he made his own environment. And we've made our own environment in the world. We've got television and radio and mobile phones, and we're not aware of God's presence because we're too busy with other things. So God's got to do things to get our attention. And often it'll be something unusual or some disaster. God could use anything. So the next time something happens out of the ordinary or some disaster, don't blame the devil. Say, here am I, Lord. Speak to me. And Take your shoes off. Get into God's presence. I'm sure he'll speak to you. Well, I hope that's encouraged you. Don't forget, next time something happens, stop, take your shoes off and say, I'm here, God. What do you want to say? It could revolutionise your life. Well, time's gone. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Monday for another vlog. God bless you.